The gameplay deep dive has got a lot of people excited for FC26, but I want to go deeper than what we saw in that video and find out some more information about gameplay myself. Well, luckily enough, I've just got back from the EA HQ in Vancouver, where not only did I get my hands on the game itself, but I was able to pick the brains of some FC26 developers. So, to find out more about the FC26 gameplay, I sat down with Sam Rivera, senior producer at EA Sports, to find out what's new and what players can expect from the gameplay in FC26.
The video game industry is evolving. The community expectations are growing every year. We actually, in January of this year for FC25, we released a big patch based on community feedback, and we knew it was time basically to evolve as well. And we are prioritizing community, collaborating and working directly with them to really understand what are the frustrations. It was simply time to work on the fundamentals that are causing some of those frustrations and create a better and more responsive gameplay experience. So there's many moving pieces from our own technologies and what we can do in the game, how can we make it better. So for example, we heard goalkeepers need to be more consistent. Okay, now we have this reinforcement learning technology that can allow us to do that. So it's always listening, trying to innovate, trying to always create the most authentic gameplay possible, and then working closely with the community and what they want to have a fun and engaging experience. Input delay has been a big conversation driver in the community for a long time, and we acknowledge that if the game is not responsive, it's not fun. So we had to get to the root causes of input delay. So we worked closely with the community, and we fixed many things, many issues in the game that were causing some type of input delay. But there's many factors that create a responsive or a non-responsive experience. Many of them, like the animation system and how it works, the system sometimes delays animations a little bit. Prioritize something else. So for example, you want to take a shot with your left foot immediately, but then the system decides to wait and take the shot with the right foot, and that creates a delay. So we fixed a lot of problems like that. We realized as well that most of the times the issues that the community was seeing in terms of input delay are caused by animation issues. So either lack of animation coverage, where we added more animation this year to make sure there's more coverage, versus animation system bugs. Just the way our game works, our game is meant to be authentic, to look like football, and it runs on authentic animations, and authentic animations by nature have variability. So there's always going to be a little bit of differences when you dribble, when you shoot. Some animations are slightly longer, some are slightly shorter. So that we understood, and then someone would say, okay, this animation felt unresponsive. Okay, maybe it was a little bit longer one. So we are working on making them more consistent, so you always get the most responsive animation possible. So there's a lot of improvements that went into FC26 to make sure it's more responsive. And the last part of that answer is around informing our community of certain things that can also affect input delay or online gameplay responsiveness, like playing Wi-Fi versus playing Ethernet. For example, obviously Ethernet will be better. There's no jitter or packet loss, which in Wi-Fi, that could be an issue. So obviously there's just a lot of moving pieces in that part of the game, online gameplay responsiveness. But I can say that FC26, based on all the improvements that we've made and the feedback that we've received, is the most responsive game we've ever created, and is the most responsive football game in the market. The game in general, FC26, is gonna be, the players are gonna feel more explosive. They're gonna feel faster in general, regardless of playstyles, regardless of attributes. Now, what we are trying to do is trying to make sure that once the year progresses and players get better, that they're getting better both on attack and on defense, to make sure they match. And we are simply going to continue monitoring the game and working closely with the community. And what I'm trying to say is, it's not the game is done and then whatever it is later, it will be no. We're gonna make sure that there is balance. So I would say in general, there could be, at the end of the year, the game will be slightly faster, but we're gonna make sure that even if it's faster, the experience is balanced. We heard feedback loud and clear, for example, okay, the problem with 25 is perhaps Rivera or the LB boost. So this year, with the community focus, we need to make sure that we stay closer, we fix more balancing issues. That way, the game should still feel explosive and responsive, but as long as it's balanced in between attack and defending, it should still be very fun. What we're doing differently this year is, at least internally, we're collaborating with the content team. I'm talking about us gameplay with the content team, with the FOD team, to make sure the progression curve is tailored to what the community wants. So I can't give you too many details on this one, other than expect better balance between attributes, between playstyles. And this is a very important topic. We heard that playstyles become the most important part of the game, and that sometimes attributes are not so important. So we're listening to that. And this will be, again, a collaboration with the different teams to make sure the experience is more balanced in 26. So it's more of an ongoing thing than me giving you just an answer right now. We knew that dribbling, sometimes when you try to turn, it's difficult. Often you get tackled. Like the players are prioritizing touching the ball, but perhaps the ball is not moving enough, so the dribbling is useful. So we heard the feedback, and we had to experiment for months with our dribbling animator, with our animation director, with our engineers, to see what else, how can we achieve a more mobile, a more explosive, a more agile dribbling. I can say that it's one of the changes that we actually finished the latest in the cycle, but it's one of the most impactful ones. So it was, again, feedback from the community and working with the different technologies and the different animation systems to see how can we achieve it. And that's why this year is very important for us, because we could actually spend the time on these parts, which is what the community wants to see. For example, last year we had Rush, we had FCIQ. That's more on the innovation side, creating new modes, creating new experiences. This year is more on the community feedback, because we heard that's what the community really wants us to focus on. So dribbling is a great example of a system where, okay, we know it's a problem, let's dive into it and let's make it most responsive dribbling we've ever had in the game. And when we saw the actual outcome of it, it was like, this is amazing. And yes, I've heard feedback from basically everyone that I've talked to, that is the one that you notice immediately, the dribbling improvement. In general, I like how much more responsive the game feels, not just for dribbling, but for everything else, passing, shooting, even detecting skill moves. The game is simply more responsive. And that's something that, at least personally, I think is going to have a very big impact. But in terms of just a fundamental that we improved, I think tacklebacks. Tacklebacks is something that we, being honest, we wanted to fix a long time ago. But it's very difficult, very, very difficult. So again, this was the year where we literally had our engineers and animators that are owning defending, physical play, dribbling, working together for months to find cases, fix them, without breaking the game, without breaking the visuals too much, yes, in some cases, we will see perhaps a little bit more clipping in between player legs, but that results in a much better outcome for the game. Instead of having legs colliding and players falling, yes, one leg may go a little bit through the other leg, but then you don't even notice because you're playing and you just know you kept the ball because you properly managed to position your player in a great place to tackle. So then that's what you care about. So we're prioritizing game flow, and I think that the outcomes that we see based on the improvements that we made to tackling is just so much cleaner, those outcomes. So something that I personally enjoy a lot when playing the game.